So the dash cam footage of the shooting of Philando Castile just came out, and I'm going to play a bit of it. If you've already seen the video, just skip ahead and get to my commentary. But I'm going to play a bit of what happened, and then try to break down what I think happened in this situation and what was going through the officer's head.
Sir, I have to tell you, I do have a firearm on me.
Don't reach for it then.
Don't
pull it out.
I'm
Don't pull it out.
You just killed my boyfriend. He wasn't real.
Don't pull it out!
He wasn't.
Don't move! Fuck!
Oh man, I can't believe this. Oh my God. Oh my
Don't
God.
move!
Oh my
Don't
God.
move!
Oh my God. I'm shaking.
Don't move!
Don't move, baby.
Code 3! Get the baby girl out of here!
Okay, so that video is hard to watch, and it shows here that Philando Castile did everything that you're supposed to. He got pulled over, he gave him his insurance, he let the cop know before he went for his wallet that I have a gun in the car, just to let you know, in case the cop saw it. I have a gun in the car, so don't freak out. And then he goes for his wallet, and then the cop thinks he's going for the gun and he shoots him. Now, this video here it's the definition of white privilege. If Philando Castile was white, first of all, I don't think he would have been pulled over for a brake light, but I mean, how many times have you been pulled over if you're a white person? I've been pulled over once in my entire life. It was for an expired sticker. That's the only time I've been pulled over. So, just that being pulled over to begin with is something that minorities deal with on a much more frequent basis than white people do. But then apart from that, the cop he's on an edge. He's like already scared. Why? I mean, Philando Castile, he's there with his girlfriend. There's a kid in the back. Imagine, it's a white guy. Officer, I have a gun in the car, just letting you know. I'm going for my wallet. Okay, cool. But no, that's the cop just immediately assumed that he's going to use the gun. Why would he tell you he has a gun in the car if he's going to use it? And I'm going to get to another clip after that where the cop gets into that. But so I mean, to me this shows a real lack of training. And not just a lack of training. I mean, it shows so many things. It shows how there's this racism that we don't even realize we have. This officer was clearly scared of a black guy, and it's because he's black. There's no other reason in this situation for the cop to be on edge like this. The situation wasn't escalated by anybody but the officer. It was a calm situation, and the officer escalated the situation. And that's not what police are supposed to do. They're supposed to de-escalate. So, Philando Castile is in the front seat. His seatbelt's on. He's reaching for his wallet. The cop thinks he's reaching for his gun because he told him he has a gun in the car. And then he shoots him dead. So it shows this subconscious racism, but it also shows a serious lack of training. Why is going for your gun your first instinct? The guy is in a seatbelt in a car. If you think he has a gun, I don't know, maybe go and hide behind the car. Why do you have to shoot him right away? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's a kid in the car. Why is he going to shoot you for having the whole situation doesn't make any sense. This is terrible training. And it also shows that the officer maybe he shouldn't have been a cop. I mean, when you sign up to be a police officer, there's a reason why I'm not a police officer. Because you're supposed to put your life in danger. You're not supposed to be protected at all costs, and no matter what, shoot first, ask questions later. That's not what it's supposed to be about. You're supposed to serve and protect. This is not serving and protecting. If you're afraid of putting your life in danger, then don't be a police officer. It's not the job for you. And you could tell afterwards, like, I don't think this cop is a bad person. He's put into a situation where he made the wrong decision based on a number of reasons. Because after he shoots Philando Castile, it sounds like the cop he's crying. He's emotional. He just killed a guy. And he totally didn't expect that to happen. But he reacted in a way that his training told him to, and that his instincts told him to. And his instincts working on this subconscious racism And his training working on the idea that you should shoot to kill and protect yourself at all costs. There's just this next part of the clip that isn't being shown as often, where the cop is recounting his experience. So just take a listen.
You're not all filming
I'm
across
fucked up right now.
maybe mine or something.
I need you to just breathe. Okay? Breathe. Which direction did you fire your weapon?
Right at the driver. I had it right out.
Okay.
I had it pointed down. I don't know how many rounds I let out or anything.
Okay. So you were, I just need to know which one's your car right here.
Mine's the one that's pulling him over.
Okay. So you pointed just directly ahead of
Just directly at him. I had it at my waist.
Was he sitting in the car or was
He was sitting in the car, seat belted. I told him, that's your license. And then told me he has a firearm. I told him not to reach for it. And when he went down to grab, I told him not to reach for it. And then he kept it right there. And I told him to take his hands off of it. And then he had his grip a lot wider than a wallet.
Okay.
And I don't know where the gun was. He didn't tell me where the fucking gun was.
Okay.
And then it was just getting hanky. He was just staring straight ahead, and then I was getting fucking nervous. And then I told him, I told him to get his fucking hand off his gun.
Okay.
So there are two parts of that clip that I want to focus on. The first is where the cop said, I don't know where the gun was. Now, the only reason the cop is saying this is because Philando Castile did what he was supposed to and told the cop that he had a gun. So, I mean, what this video teaches in a way is don't be honest with the cops. Because if you tell them you have a gun, they may shoot you. And that isn't the lesson or the message that we should be learning from this. But this is why people have a fear of the cops. Because they're not properly trained. If you do what you're supposed to and you get shot because of it, you're not trained properly. There's a mistake there. It disturbs me to no end that there's nothing else Philando Castile could have done in this situation. He couldn't have done this any differently. He did what he was supposed to do and he still got killed. And the other quote I want to focus on is the cop said he was getting nervous. So the cop is, I mean, what happened in this situation? Nothing happened in terms of Philando Castile. Philando Castile was pulled over. He gave the cop his insurance, and then he was going to go for his license and give him his license. Why is the cop nervous? What is the reason for the cop to be nervous? There's a kid in the car. His girlfriend's there. There's no reason for the cop to be nervous. The only reason the cop is nervous is because Philando Castile is black. That is the only reason. And yeah, that is racism. That doesn't mean that the cop is that doesn't mean that the cop hates black people. It doesn't. This is what the mistake that people have with racism. It's this unconscious, subconscious racism where you don't even realize you're practicing it. And that's what's happening with the cop here. The cop didn't realize why he was nervous. He was nervous because the guy was black. If he was white, he wouldn't be nervous. And because the cop was nervous, he shot him. That's what we talk about when we talk about white privilege. It's not about white people. It's not trying to say that you haven't had any struggles in your life. We've all had struggles in our life. But this is the thing that we don't think about as white people when we go out and drive in our car. We're not worried that we're going to be pulled over and shot for being honest with the cops. That's what happened here. So that's what white privilege means. It doesn't mean that we have it better than everybody else. There are a lot of poor white people. But the fact is that if you're a poor black person, you have it worse because of situations like this. Things that we don't even have to think about. So it's look, I'm not going to solve the world's problems here. I'm not trying to solve the world's problems. But they're clearly, I mean, how many times do we need to see this to realize there has to be better training? And there has to be maybe better incentive to be a police officer. Maybe police officers don't get paid enough. And maybe they don't go to college. Maybe you need to have better education and a reason to actually try and be a police. It should be harder to be a cop. It shouldn't be this easy to be a cop. This guy shouldn't have been able to be a police officer. So there needs to be better training, and there needs to be awareness of situations like this. Police in training need to be made aware that we have an unconscious bias, an unconscious racism for certain races and people. Black males have it worse than everybody else because cops are, for some reason, whatever reason it is, they are more fearful of black people. And a lot of it has to do with the way the media has pushed that narrative over the years, and the news and what the news decides to cover and all that. But that needs to be examined. That needs to be looked at when in police training. Cops also need to look at, or the training also needs to focus on de-escalating situations, not escalating them. If the person that you're interacting with is not acting erratic, he's not yelling, he's strapped into his car, he's with his kid and his girlfriend, then this is a situation where you don't need to have your guard up immediately. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface here, but there's so much that could have been prevented here. This whole situation could have been prevented for a number of reasons. But it all comes down to the cop. It doesn't come down to anything Philando Castile did. He did everything right. All the blame here goes to the police officer and the training that he was given.